then Azure File Storage. It's the same. If you're familiar with file storage in a traditional data center, it is the same CISF file shares. Normally, if you see, there are different use cases how this block storage, file storage has come in the industry. The block storage, there is only one machine. That machine has got multiple direct connected devices, direct connected hard drive. But if there is a necessity, you have a, let's say, SQL database that you have configured daily backups and you wanted to dump the database, daily backup somewhere in a central location. Probably you create a file share and mention that file share location in your SQL script, ask it to dump the daily backups here in some location. If this file share to be connected to another server in the same network, well, it is technically possible. So if the file share is to be connected to multiple servers on the network, you go for file servers. If a hard disk is directly connected to the servers and you expect it to perform so good, there is no latency at all, no performance issues at all, then you go for the block storage, which is a SAN or directly connected storage. In the cloud also a similar situation. If you want file system or a file share to be connected to multiple servers, or if you want a file share to be connected to Azure virtual machines, and the same is also connected to on-premises virtual machines or physical. This is possible, but you need to have express route or VPN connectivity here. The file share must believe that this is also a LAN. So file share is connected to a virtual machine. Inside Azure cloud, you can have multiple virtual machines using the same file share. You can read and write data to the same file share. But the same file share can also be connected to on-premises machines, provided you have express route or VPN connectivity. So only because these two connectivity options make your file share believe that these machines are also over the LAN. They are not in a different physical location altogether. And yes, it works on CIFS or SMB protocols. They're all the same traditional NFS. Azure file shares can be mounted concurrently by cloud and on-premises, Windows, Linux, and Mac, because it end of the day it is a CIFS file share. Additionally, Azure files, SMB file shares can be cached on Windows servers with Azure File Sync for fast access. So there is something called Azure File Sync. So that's going to expedite the data transfer between your cloud servers and the file shares. By nature, these protocols have got some latency because they work on the network. So using the Azure File Sync, you can actually reduce that latency. You can copy paste or you can move the files fastly. So some of the use cases for replication or supplement for the on-premises file shares. On-premises, if you want a file share, you have to buy the hardware, you set up everything, you connect it. There is an overhead and the initial investment is involved. Whereas in the cloud, pay as you go, self-service, on-demand, rapid delivery, blah, blah, blah. All those features come along. So you can use that as a replacement for on-premises file shares. And you can also do lift and shift of the applications. For example, you are moving everything from your on-premises to the cloud. The easiest way is to create a file share in the cloud, have the VPN connectivity or express route, and then extend that file share from cloud to on-premises. Just do a copy paste of the data. And that's all. Everything comes to the cloud. Simply cloud deployment. You can actually have data moved between test and production environments to store the debug information or logs of such information. You can simplify the cloud deployments. You can also use this to store your automation scripts for integration purposes and also for containerization. This file share can also be connected to your Docker container instances. It can be connected into your Kubernetes instances. It is the same. You can have an account. Inside the account, if it is a blob storage, we had the containers. But here you create a file share. Inside the file share, you create a directory that is your folders. The folders can have files. Regular file share, hierarchy. Some of the benefits, well, all the cloud benefits would be applicable to the file share as well. It is fully managed, shared access, scripting and tooling, resiliency, a familiar programmability. There is an option called snapshot, which is a point-in-time backup option. So if you wanted to take a backup of the file share at this point of time, you just can say right-click, create a snapshot. That just takes the backup of the entire data you have in the file shares. And at any point of time, you can go back and say, revert back to the previous state. It is similar to your NetApp file snapshots or snapshot functionality you see in the storage, not like VMware snapshot. When to use the snapshot? Well, in all the cases where you need data protection, whether you're upgrading something, you wanted to take a backup for protection against the accident deletions, protection against corruptions or planned activities, even for the general purpose backup also, you use snapshots. So that brings us to the end of the discussion of the file storage. It doesn't take us much of a time. What I do is we have a virtual machine in central US. I just go to the storage account, create a file share in the central US. We already have this resource group in central US. Here in the data storage, file shares is where we go. file shares. So you can create a file share. I think I already have a share created. Create another share. You just give a name, share 2, and then what tier it is, the performance tier. It is transaction optimized based on our read and write transactions. It will optimize the storage. You can also put into hot or cold. It is the same that we've discussed yesterday. So maximum IOPS is 1000. The maximum capacity 5 terabyte. Large file share is disabled. I mean, the default options that we proceed with. So backup option, it by default creates a backup policy that takes a backup daily 7:30 p.m. UTC. If you don't want this backup, well, you can say create a new policy, and when you create that policy, you can mention at what time of a day that you want to take the backup and what is the retention period. So every day backup that it takes, it's going to retain for 30 days. If you want a more retention, like 60 days, 90 days, you can mention that as well. And here you don't see, I mean, you don't have to configure like weekly backups, monthly backups, because every time it takes a backup, it is a full backup. Review and create. You see the file share has been created. Let's go to the storage account. You see share 2. If I select share 2, you can also browse here to see the folders and files over here. You can also create a folder. You can delete a share. You can change the tiers, edit quota, all of that. Say I wanted to connect this to a virtual machine that we've already created. Say connect. So to connect, it is asking to which operating system you wanted to connect to, Windows, Linux, and Mac. Say Windows. What letter you wanted to connect with? Z. So you wanted to authenticate with Active Directory or storage account keys. Well, we have not discussed about it. Yes, storage account keys should be fine. Say show the script. So copy the script and execute it inside your Windows machine in the PowerShell window. All right. So, but remember, if it doesn't work, what it is actually doing, connection test results. It is testing the connectivity from this computer to this file share over the port number 445. Okay. So when we go to the networking, we will talk about it, but still, as you will try doing this lab, I'll just tell you in the networking, if you see in the inbound port rules, see allow VNet inbound. Any port, any protocol, source is the entire virtual network, destination is entire virtual network, allow. I mean, I just want to say the appropriate firewalls have been configured to allow the traffic. So that is the reason this virtual machine is able to connect to a file share we have created. Otherwise, it would have thrown an error saying, the connectivity issue. Okay. So I just open this. See, there is share 2. Hi there. This is version 1. The file has been saved. Now the same share can be connected to another machine. So we have created a file, the sample file that we have created inside Windows has come up here. You can download it, you can delete it. I mean, you can control file operations from here as well. As for our backup policy, it happens every day at 7 p.m. UTC. But if you want a snapshot, you come here, you wanted to trigger a manual snapshot at any point of time, you take a snapshot after V1, right? So now we have taken a snapshot. If I really come here to the Windows file share, the same can also be tested for the folder. If I come to the folder, I'll not be able to see previous versions. See previous versions. There are no previous versions. But if I come to the file, there must be one backup option available, previous versions. It just takes few minutes for the version to come up here. But yes, after creating this file, we have taken a snapshot. So we should actually give it some time. There is one version. Because after creating this folder, we have made a change. I mean, we have taken a snapshot. After creating this file, we have created 2 snapshots. It should show a snapshot, another snapshot it opens. But what happens is for example, if you want to restore it to this state, say restore. Are you sure you want to restore previous version of sample today, August? So 2 minutes ago. If you really wanted to say yes, the restoration has been successful. So whatever the data that it had, version 1, it comes up. So that way, at any point of time, you can create a file share connected to the machine, and you can connect it to multiple machines. All you have to do is run that script inside the machine. And the same soft deletes option is available here. You can integrate Active Directory. I mean, you must have a question. Venkat, if I come here, browse, and I'm getting to see everything inside that machine. So don't you think it is a security issue? That's where we're going to have Active Directory role-based access control enabled. So it tells who to access what. So probably when we go to Active Directory level discussions, you will get to know there are 2 snapshots. Initial backup is configured, but it is yet to fire. You can see the details. So initial backup is pending. So that will happen some 7:30 UTC. This is the backup policy attached. So that is about file share